Oscar Piastri on the attack to the race lead by turn 5.
Fast as fuck, boy.
Norris improves the benchmark, but he's going to be under pressure from Piastri, trying to take away pole. And he does so.
Fuck!
Oscar Piastri wins for the first time in Formula 1. Piastri and Norris separated by nothing. Norris inching clear, late on the brakes for Piastri. Does he make the corner? He does.
Oh, calm down.
Sideline. Leclerc is not going to give it to him. So going the long way round and taking the position. He's late on the brakes for Max Verstappen. He keeps the lead for the moment. But Piastri powers by.
No, mate, that was so not right.
Oscar Piastri wins. 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 Oscar Piastri wins.
Linda.
A PS3, a pastry, and Piastri. 3 things in life some humans can't live without. And for most people, it's this guy right here. Oscar Jack Piastri. Leclerc. I almost forgot that part. An Australian F1 driver that races like an absolute lion, but has the personality of a skateboarding cat. Are you seeing this footage right here? Believe it or not, that's Oscar driving a Formula 1 car. But despite how he can appear this way, Oscar manages to stand out more than anyone I've seen enter the sport in years. Someone who's cool-headed but drives like his life's on the line, and improves at a pace faster than it took Liam Lawson to lose his Red Bull seat, making Mr. Pastry one of the most talented racers I've seen. And that's because Oscar is a driver with so many positive traits from other F1 drivers fused into one. He's like the end result of an F1 driver orgy. He races clean like Kimi Raikkonen, overtakes with Verstappen's aggression, has the likability of Alex Albon, Fernando Alonso's racecraft, Mark Webber's feistiness as a teammate, and again Kimi Raikkonen's aura. Heck, the guy even has a sarcastic version of Daniel Ricciardo's humor.
Lots of problems with track limits, ladies and gentlemen. Best work experience ever, says Oscar Piastri.
And of course, better consistency than Lance Stroll's ability to crash a car every weekend. Now I know I'm showering this man with more compliments than a Krispy Kreme donut, but I have to say, some pastries deserve to be glazed. And for Oscar, it's because of how fast he matures. In F3, he won his debut season, jumped straight to F2 the next year, and won on his debut again. This man was speedrunning his racing career. Then in 2023, Oscar finally joins F1, where he pulls overtakes while defending against the Ferrari in Austria, got a sprint podium in Spa, a win in Qatar, the race where drivers were literally throwing up in their cockpits, and finished the season with 97 points. But he was still 108 points behind Lando, which is fine. He was practically a newborn baby, and there's room for development over the years. But then Oscar suddenly improved more than anyone expected, because right as 2024 started, he practically gained 3 years of experience overnight. As the season went by, his pace was faster, racecraft was better, and he was sniffing Lando more and more. And this happened the same time Lando wanted to challenge Max Verstappen for the championship. And while that didn't exactly go to plan, Oscar pretty much said, okay, fuck you, watch this. In Monza, he stole the lead from Lando and finished ahead. Then he won in Baku, with dive bombs crazier than Japanese pilots on Pearl Harbor, and his overtakes in Spa were stunning. The last time we ever saw a new driver perform like this was Lewis Hamilton in 07. Oscar may not have started as well as Lewis, but it's how fast he improves. And how Pastry does this is thanks to his mindset. Oscar's brain adapts and thinks quick. Like, take a look at this interview moment.
Is it true that F1 drivers can tell what course it is from just hearing an audio recording of it?
I've seen people do it before. Well, this is coming down the pit
We're in
lane.
the pit lane at the minute.
Yep. Long pit lane. Okay, this is a very slow corner. I reckon it's Bahrain.
You're right. It is.
There you go.
The fact that Oscar knew what Bahrain sounded like faster than an F1 fan recognizing the Dutch anthem is a different level of aura. And it's the little things like that which makes Oscar so special. Take a look at him playing this basketball game.
Yep.
Now, of course, Why on God's green earth am I talking about this? Well, where I'm going is that Oscar lives off a phrase called "I understand it now." Because whenever he isn't used to something or makes a mistake, he then goes, "I understand it now," and absolutely destroys it the next time. In F1 terms, one time Piastri made a mistake of fighting Lewis Hamilton out of the pits on colder tires. Ever since, he hasn't done that again. In Hungary 2023, he overly pushed on the outside going on the grass. Next year, he's glued on track. Oscar Piastri is literally the F1 version of when Iron Man learns from his mistakes. And I also love how he refuses to be a second driver. Over recent years, Australian F1 drivers have always been blue ball. Daniel Ricciardo has been edged from being the #1 driver. Mark Webber had wins and podiums fly away. And honorary Australian Valtteri Bottas swapped positions with Lewis more times than Carlos and James Vowles did in their hotel room. And everyone thought the same thing was gonna happen to Oscar. But once again, the pastry said, "Fuck you, watch this." In 2024, he swapped positions with Lando only if he would do the same, and this time ending the season just 82 points behind. However, there was still a lot of work to do. Compared to Lando, Pastry's weaknesses were qualifying, pace, and tire management. Weaknesses he needed to work on until the next season. Which was exactly what he did, and the end result was masterclass driving. After maturing even more, 2025 came and Oscar obliterates his former self. In Australia, he was right behind Lando, he pulled an insane overtake on Lewis too, was going to be on the podium until the forces of evil and darkness decided to mess him up. But then in China, he dominates the race, did the same thing in Bahrain, again in Saudi Arabia, and also pulled another beautiful overtake on Lewis. Poor guy is not just getting mentally destroyed by Ferrari, but also an Australian version of his rookie self.
Do you secretly hope that Ferrari will regret their decision?
No.
He does. He does do that.
But then came Miami, a race I think showed just how much Oscar knows what he's doing. In the race, he needed to pass Max Verstappen, a driver that will do whatever it takes to defend his position. Literally. Even if it means he'll throw axes at you.
You don't have to tease Max anymore.
You see, whenever Max has to defend, he's smart with it. He uses the rules to his advantage, going down the inside, braking late, and sometimes pushing the other driver off track. And Oscar knows that. So when the time came, Piastri took the outside line, convincing Max to use his usual strategy, brake later and shut everyone's dreams away. But unlike other drivers, Mr. I Understand It Now wasn't on the outside to overtake. He did that to force Max into an error. Oscar knew that Max had less pace and was going to brake late to defend, which happened. And as Max's tires locked up and cried, his car went wide and Oscar passed on the inside. Jarvis unshit my pants. Holy fuck. His drives were so good, even Christian Horny himself admitted that Oscar would be a suitable replacement for Max Verstappen.
A plan B in case he were to leave.
Oscar Piastri.
And a couple days later, Red Bull fired him. They couldn't handle the truth. But there are still these smooth brains who think so little of Oscar, saying he's overrated, which I can try to understand. In 2025, Lando could still do much better than Oscar in specific areas. And if he didn't bottle so much, there probably wouldn't even have been a championship fight. But at the same time, what if this and what if that, you know? What if Oscar turns into a literal pastry and can't drive anymore? What if Fernando Alonso started flying with wings from his back and wins the championship for the next 10 years? God, I wish. I'd agree that Lando can have the edge on Oscar sometimes, but also no shit. He's a driver with more than double the experience. You expect that from him. Overall, I think some people can never be satisfied with drivers like Piastri because he keeps shattering their expectations. So the bar just keeps getting higher, higher, and now it's at the edge of the universe. So it's fair if Oscar doesn't win like 2023 Max Verstappen. What he's done so far in 3 years is more than 95% of drivers. But apart from his masterful driving and maturity, there's also personality. Oscar is one likable driver, along with Alex Albon and especially Kimi Räikkönen. They both don't speak too much, they know what they're doing, and most importantly, Oscar also just drives, lies on the floor if he's tired, and has one expression: whatever happens, this is the face you're getting. Though on some occasions we do get to see him switch things up a little, and when Oscar gets a little frustrated, his humor is what stands out the most.
Stroll was driving like he was in his first go-kart race.
It's still very fun when we have all these years later, huh? Yep, we'll champion.
Now, Mr. Pastry does have a few moments though where he loses his cool, but I appreciate how he tries to cover it, knowing the consequences he could face saying the wrong things. Oscar's aware of the downsides of making comments when he's angry.
We always say that you're very level-headed, but I've never seen you quite so upset about the situation you find yourself in.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say much. I'll get myself in trouble, so...
Like, there was a moment after a race where Lando was interviewed about Max, and Oscar knew that Lando could get himself in trouble here, so he just gave him the stinkiest side-eye. I could smell it from here. But as much as Oscar is calm and nice, people often forget that he can still be ruthless, as he once said himself.
Just because I'm calm doesn't mean that I'm not ruthless.
Like, did we all forget his Alpine tweet? Oscar ate that team up and left no crumbs. Or when he posted a photo of him flying a plane on September 11th. Well, he also took down the towers and left no crumbs. But most importantly, he aggressively fights Lando and refuses to yield. A prime example, Canada 2025, where he and Lando went wheel to wheel and showed their talents. Though I'm not sure what took more of a spotlight, Oscar's racecraft or Lando Norris. But in the race, Lando was closing in on Oscar with more pace and fresher tires, and in turn 10 he made a move down the inside, but Mr. I Understand It Now saw it coming and went for the switchback with a better exit, catching Lando in the straight and then braking far later, getting the lead. Then Lando Norris tries to go for a gap. That didn't exist. Another example, Spa 2025. In the sprint, Max Verstappen took the lead from Oscar on the straight to win the race. And in typical Pastry fashion, he went,
I understand it now.
So in the actual race, he used Max's exact move on Lando and won without a worry in the world. Piastri is one ruthless fast learner. And it also helps that he has a strong mentality. Oscar believes that he's better than drivers like Lando.
Lando Norris versus you, one-on-one, who wins?
Me.
Now, regardless of how their battles turn out, Oscar just having that mentality helps a lot. Similar to what Max Verstappen said in 2020, even if he didn't win the championship.
I am the best driver because I believe that I'm the best. Because every driver needs to think like that, otherwise it's better to stay at home.
Also, when Oscar messes up, he always tries to keep it to himself and move on. His composure is great. For example, in Oscar's home race, he went from podium to spinning out, which made him bummed, but he moved on.
I think for me the big positive is the other 56 laps of the race.
And in interviews, you can always see how well he does this compared to other drivers. So while Lando can get busy fighting the voices in his head, Oscar just continues honing his skills, focusing on the next race to come. And it also helps that he has the Huzz. Lily Znaimer cheering him on. If I had someone like her supporting my F1 career, I am sending it straight into turn 1. And of course, Oscar also has a great balance of a fearless yet calm demeanor. Here's a scale I made of F1 drivers based on their craziness and speed. I call this the pace and crazy matrix. Max Verstappen lands here, sometimes a professional hitman, but extremely fast, so that's okay. Nick De Vries and Logan Sargent are here, reasonable drivers that lack pace, while Lando Norris is a little crazy, but he's quick. And Oscar Piastri fits in somewhere around here. Calm, but calculated. And most world champions are here, and this I'd say is the unicorn area. While these two gremlins land here, track hazards that are slower than Sebastian Vettel's scooter. But back to Oscar, he can still make mistakes. It happens. But it's how he quickly recognizes them.
See, looking back, that wasn't my smartest idea.
Obviously, no matter how good Oscar is, he won't win all the time. Things won't always go his way. But when he loses, he uses that as motivation to improve the things that caused said losses. He works hard in practice sessions, on the simulator, using a list of areas to improve. He might already be a generational talent, winning F3 and F2 back-to-back, but it's his passion to strive for perfection that separates him from the average driver. His own engineer once said Oscar keeps wanting verifying information, going through stuff. That extra effort goes a long way. But since no driver is perfect and everyone has to have a weakness, the one I can think of for Oscar is that he's a great all-rounder. Which really doesn't make sense at first, but here's the thing. Some drivers tend to sacrifice other traits to have exceptional ones. Think of it like making a video game character. Max Verstappen, strength, godlike qualifying, and pace. Weakness, patience, and trauma. Lando Norris, strength, race pace. Weakness, bottles. George Russell, strength, popping out of nowhere. Weakness, final laps. And Oscar Piastri, strength, amazing all around. Weakness, not specialized in anything. And well, if you don't want to count that, I guess he's absolutely ass at any sport that isn't Formula 1. Like, this dude put all his skill points in racing. He tried kicking a ball one time only to fold into the average fentanyl addict in downtown Chicago. So while Oscar's a jack of all trades, other drivers having exceptional areas can get him in specific situations. But then again, if Piastri's able to adapt and make every stat exceptional, everyone better start packing up for F1.5. But at the end of the day, I'd say Oscar's most annoying opponent is still traffic, because I swear every time he has to go through lapped cars, he loses any progress he's made. And of course, one of the culprits had to be Alpine.